So yeah, so we wanted to be just because the Musk announcement happened today. We wanted to saw a lot of people saying, "I'm out of here. See you later, Twitter." And so we just wanted to have a little bit of dialogue about that today to talk about implications, because there will be implications. So for those of you who missed it, which I'm sure maybe there's zero, but just in case, it came out today that it looks like they're closing in on a deal or have closed a deal with Elon Musk to buy, who's going to outright buy Twitter. These are billionaire choices that quarter trillionaires get to make, I guess, just to completely buy a social media platform and turn it into his personal playground. I think there's some stuff that still needs to happen to make this totally final. And there will be lawsuits and questions, and shareholders will have their own feedback and all that kind of stuff. But assuming that this goes forward, I think it's good to just have a conversation about what it means for the information scape. Musk is like we were kind of saying at the beginning, he talks about free speech, but what he actually means is anarchy. He thinks that anybody should be able to say whatever they want, and that it shouldn't be policed, and that basically the digital space should be a fist fight. At least that's my understanding of where he stands, and that's not good. I think that there's reason for real concern about the platform. I think that we could also go too far overboard in our response and get too elevated about and agitated about how we should respond, just because there's a lot of stuff that still needs to happen. Even if there are changes, they won't happen overnight. He is still a businessman, and people who are business people like making money, and so that is always going to take precedence over. Well, I won't say that's true. Maybe he is completely politically motivated, and it's just a political power grab. But my guess is if he's spending $44 billion, that he's gonna think hard about what changes he wants to make, and who he might want to alienate and not alienate on the platform. So I think it's where I kind of think of this as a let's see what happens mode. I don't think anybody should be deleting their Twitter account overnight. It's a really important platform. I know it gets a bad rap, and people say Twitter's not the real world and all that, and that is totally true. But Twitter is the place where a lot of the national dialogue starts, and especially around political media and the media narrative about what's happening in the country. Journalists are all addicted to Twitter, and that's where they try and push out a lot of their stuff. And so the conversation that's happening on this platform is important. And so the idea that even if Musk takes over and he takes down all the guardrails and brings Trump back and eliminates the ability to flag posts, because why bother, and report posts and all that kind of stuff, and even if it does become the Wild West, as long as at least as long as the political media is focusing their attention there, it's really important that we maintain a very strong presence, even if we're getting messed with in terms of algorithmically or we're getting mass reported by MAGA people or whatever's happening. It's just so, I guess I just wanted to say, like, hang in there. Let's see what happens. We'll continue. We'll watch the changes that are being made. We'll pivot when we need to. DemCast will watch it closely and will provide advice. And if it comes to the point where it's just not, we don't feel it's worth being on the platform anymore, or we're doing more harm than good, or we're wasting activists' time that could be better spent elsewhere, then we'll be really frank and honest about that. But we're definitely not at that point yet. So that was basically the public service announcement I wanted to make today on this, when we got this like really terrible news. Lori, looks like you were going to jump in.
I was just going to say, a lot of people left Facebook when we saw how they use data. A lot of people didn't. I don't like a lot of what they do on Facebook, but it does allow us to reach certain people that we can't reach on other platforms. And when we abandon a platform where there's still regular people on, we basically abandon those people to a fire hose of only consuming disinformation. And so I think it's important while there is opportunity to fight back, that we do take that opportunity to do that. Another positive thing is it looks like Elon Musk is interested in us having an edit button. So, we might get Trump back, but we might get an edit button. That's kind of I'm a glass half full kind of gal. We dealt with Trump for 4 years and his craziness. But we still have to fight the good fight. We fight the battle where it happens, not where we wish it were happening.
Most of those 4 years I had Trump blocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I wouldn't give him access to my emotions, and the access to the emotions is where they feed off of the disinformation and the misinformation. And I'm real good at blocking bots. I've been doing that since 2015, 2016. I'm pretty much a pro at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not looking
the whack-a-mole game, that's me. Just whacking away.
Yeah, every now and again, I don't have a problem with them now, but then every now and again, there's 4 or 5 that pop up at once, and it's always from the same place, the same country, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And then it gets quiet after I block them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's going forward, if that's going to be a problem going forward, but I have too many political connections now on Twitter that I'm ready to be an activist for. There's you guys, there's Don Winslow, there's the Lincoln Project, there's a couple of others. I'm ready. I'm a member of my town Democratic Committee now too. So
excellent. Yeah, we've been spending the last what, 6-7 years building a community on this platform. I mean, some of you probably longer than that, but I jumped in right after Trump got elected. So we don't want to just give that up, just on a whim. So we'll just kind of see what happens.
Well, I'm with Tim, and I'm also with Lori. My experience in this is that we just need to roll with the punches, and I know that DemCast is going to do a really good job of staying on top of it and trying to stay a step ahead of it. And then what we really need to decide as a team, and we're a pretty powerful team that's growing every day, is we need to just stay on top of it. And the only question is, what do we do next? And where do we focus our energies? And I think we need to keep that in mind. We're going to have to keep on doing what's most effective. And I don't see that we got a midterm coming up really fast. And I don't see that Facebook's going to, or Twitter or anything else is going to change dramatically during that period. We have a big battle on our hands to win between now and then.
Yes, we do.
That's a great point. Yeah, no, it's very unlikely that there would be major substantive changes before the election. So I think we just kind of keep rolling and do our best in 2022, but prepare for the worst. I think we'll think internally about like, okay, if Twitter becomes more of, if all the MAGA trolls come back and Trump is back and all that, how does that change our strategy? It could become a little bit more of a street fight, in terms of narrative.
Yeah.
And it might look a little different, but doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying. So Keith?
But I think like any battle though, you can arm yourself and you can protect yourself. And I think we know already, and I'm starting to get up to speed with social media, is you need to know how to protect yourself on social media. And I think we have some techniques that we can employ that way. And we need to stay a step ahead of the rules so we can continue to do those things.
Well, and speaking of midterms, voter registration deadlines are coming up. So I just dropped a link in because of course there's a toolkit for that. I know everybody on this call is shocked, absolutely shocked, but there is a toolkit for that. So today is Georgia's last day for the primaries. So
share away.
so share away. There's a couple hours left to register for the Georgia primaries.
Keith has got his hand up. Keith, you want to jump in?
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, as I mentioned in the chat, I mean, Elon Musk is basically just telling us how valuable Twitter is. And Twitter's not even my go-to. I mean, I like Facebook much better, but it's critical. And as we know, social media played a important role in Brexit in 2016 when Putin's trolls in St. Petersburg, helped Trump get elected, in the January 6th insurrection planning. So, I mean, if we abandon it, it's the biggest communication device, ever known to mankind. So, I mean, we can't walk away from it. I mean, if we want to hurt Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg in the long term, I mean, maybe in a 6-year horizon or something, we might do them some harm. But in the meantime, we lose 2022 and we lose 2024. So unfortunately, we have to stay with it. And I think also somebody else mentioned, the whole security issue on Facebook. And I'm 65 and there's a lot of people, I'm in Hawaii, and there's a lot of people here who don't use Facebook for politics. I mean, they just shun it. I'd say there's maybe 10% or fewer of Democrats who consider themselves activists actually do anything on Facebook or Twitter. So, I mean, I did a little presentation about the importance of it, and I threw some numbers out from Pew Research and that kind of thing, and people seem more interested. So I'm looking at this grassroots messaging huddle from that Patty Crane's putting together. But I mean, basically, locally, if we could find like-minded people who are willing to, participate in social media, be convinced that it's important, and then reinforce each other. I'm thinking of having a local hashtag so that we all like each other's profiles on Facebook, and then we like each other's posts, so we amplify everything instead of because people sit back and they think, gee, I only have 100 followers on Facebook, so but how am I gonna be able to influence? But we're gonna have a lot more power with numbers. And so I guess that's my little piece. I'm trying to organize that as sometime this week.
That's great, Keith. There is a lot of good organizing that you can do on Facebook. Even if you're not interested in maybe sharing it to everybody who follows you. And I can speak to this as a person in Ruby Red, Tennessee, where it's my, my family members and people I went to high school with, and a bunch of them are not Democrats. But I know who my friends are that are, or that are independent enough that, I can share messaging with them. And it's really easy to set up a select group of friends that you can post to, and only they can see it. So you have that option, and you also have the option of being in a group, either private group or public group, to organize and and share and boast each other's posts. So those are a couple things that you can do.
Yeah, I should have lowered my hand, but so the day after the 2016 election, I started a group on Facebook called, well, then it was called Trump Free Zone. Now it's called Post-Trump Activists. I try to post stuff about text banks, postcarding, whatever there is. So yeah, I think Facebook is great for organizing in that regard. And yeah, we could do, well, it's a graduated scale too. I mean, people don't have to post everything on their own public profile on Facebook. You can just like, comment, which is much less likely to get any kind of retribution or flack from anybody. And then, you can take the big step and post it on your own profile. Or, I mean, not many people are going to do it, but you can start a page.
And that's one of the things our research showed us as well, is that something like only 9% of Democrats were willing to post something political on Facebook. Part of that problem is that they're not sure what to say. They feel like they have the facts, that if somebody were to come at them and challenge them, that they would know what to say back. And that's one of the reasons why we design our social toolkits to be shared over to Facebook, because we generally have a source with the post or an action they can take. And that helps decrease some of that, nervousness about, am I saying the right thing? And, am I sharing the right information? Not all of us have time to fact check everything we see. And we want to make that easy for y'all to share.
Yeah, definitely. I would want to share DemCast stuff. There's the DNC social ambassador thing. They have some really good memes. It's not cutting stuff, but it's still pretty good stuff. Gets a lot of likes, I think. And then there's, I don't know what's going to happen out of Patty Crane's, project, but I'm looking forward to that too. So I think just incorporating all that, but maybe there should be an emphasis on local groups pooling together so that they can reinforce each other. Because I mean, we do occasionally, even if it's just on Zoom, I mean, we meet. Sometimes we, get together in person, especially now. So having reinforcement, just instead of just being that one dot out there in the universe, is I think powerful.
Well said.
And we'll actually be meeting with Patty and Dwayne later this week on how we can work together on their new thing, because that's also a big thing that we do at DemCast, is we like to collaborate with other groups. So
Now you had your hand up for a while. Did you want to jump in with something? Hi.
Yeah, thank you. So just a couple of things. I think it's Richard. I just wanted to say that he is absolutely right in terms of how folks feel about posting to Facebook. But don't worry, because even though they might not say anything, they really are glad that you posted it, because they want to know. Because I did that, and when I posted things, when I stopped doing it because I thought no one was responding, I'd get messages in Messenger saying, "Hey, what happened? I haven't seen any of your posts lately." So they really do care about it. And then I also just wanted to add, I am really scratching my head about messaging around what is keeping folks from really giving the Biden administration the attention that they really deserve. But I think it's so much noise that's why nothing is getting through. Maybe the messaging isn't so bad, it's just not getting to the right people. And so I was thinking about, and maybe you guys already do this, about how to target some of the tweets and how to target some of the messaging. And Galvanize comes to mind right away, and especially for folks who are afraid to put political messages in, because they have very, very targeted groups that they have GIFs and memes and things like that don't feel political, but it's a message that helps educate people about things that you might be afraid to talk about. And so I think that might be something to really focus on, because I'm thinking that, there are 53% of the folks who get their message and information from social media, but that means that there's 47% who get it from somewhere else. And I think with the big audience that is here, finding ways to do call to actions that maybe somehow get to this other group of folks or these other targeted folks who are very, very not interested right now, because we really need them in order to win in 22. And then my other message is the news makes you think like we're hopeless at this point. And I just think that we have enough information and that from a historical perspective, nothing has looked like this before. So there is no reason that history has to say that we lose this election in 22. We do have more good things, and we do have more people who are absolutely nuts. And I think that gives us the upper hand. So my hashtag is defy 2022 because we can defy history. So that's where I am.
I'll just really quick jump in and just say I think the message of defiance is, or the feel of defiance is a really good idea. I think that's a really good angle for this year, because it frames, even though we've got the power, everybody's saying that that's all going to change, and so I think that could be a really motivating thing for people. On the Biden stuff, I think my take on this is that saying generally like things like Biden boom and Democrats deliver, true. But I think one of the reasons is that language isn't breaking through is that that's not how people feel in their lives. And so we have to pay attention to how people actually feel about the economy in particular. And so we have to acknowledge the fact that we can't just pretend that everything's great. And while making sure that we're pointing out all the wins, also pivoting and speaking to vision, and what is the vision of the country that Democrats have, and what is the vision of the country that Republicans have. And the Republicans gave us a gift wrap package with the plan that was it Rick Scott released. It's getting rid of Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, and I mean, insanely unpopular ideas. So
Taxing 41% of the population, that increasing their taxes. So
so I think I agree. I think we have stuff to run on, and it's only going to get to be more so as the summer progresses, because we're going to have these public hearings for the January 6th, and we're also going to have honestly, the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe, at least to some degree, and that's going to be hugely motivating this summer for people. I wish it wasn't going to happen, but I think that we will get a jolt of energy from our side when that happens. So we just have to remain positive and keep putting good messages out there. I think we have a chance.
I was just say one last, one last thing, and that is to your point about Democrats deliver. I think that's absolutely right. And I also think that we have an opportunity to just lean into some of these things that people are upset about. So when it comes to inflation and high prices of food and gas, we shouldn't run away from it. We should lean into it and say, yes, gas prices are high, and yes, food prices are high, but who do we really trust to get us out of this? And you can point to all of the things that Republicans are doing, which is absolutely nothing. And then you can point to the things that we're doing and to the vision that will get it better. And so to me, that's what it is. If you deny it, it doesn't help, but lean into it, tell the truth about it and what the vision is to make it better.
And pointing out the corporate greed, right?
Exactly.
That, while inflation is going up, gas prices are rising up, companies like Amazon and Exxon and Shell are having record profits. And, there's charts, especially on the gas prices, of what, normally a barrel is and what normally the price of gas is. And it's almost $1 higher per gallon than the price per barrel says it should be. So they're just raking in the profits.
Yep.
So we've got 3 hands. I want to get to the 3 hands, and then we had a couple other sort of preview type things around January 6th and around the economy that we wanted to talk about before the call closes. So let's have Doug go first, and then Kimberly, and then Linda.
Well, I just wanted to share something that we discovered. We have a very active group of precinct chairs and a very active local group of Democrats. We all live on the north shore of Lake Travis, northwest of Austin, and the population is roughly about 15 or 18,000 people. And one of our precinct captains decided we should all join the Chamber of Commerce as North Shore Democrats. And I thought we would get our asses beat. But we did it. And we had name tags with North Shore Democrats on it. And we were remarkably well welcomed by all of these people that said, we didn't know there was any organization out here of Democrats. How do we join? Tell us more about it. What is your Facebook page? Our Facebook page has just been kind of on life support for about a year. We need to get that going. We do have a web page, but we do a lot of events, and we've got a good ground game going. We're using as precinct chairs, we're using the Obama snowflake model for organizing, and we're going to get it done. I'm a precinct chair and a super precinct organizer. I have 6 precincts under my wing as a super precinct organizer, so I'm a busy guy.
Good job, Doug. You know
Thanks.
what? You never know, right? Unless you show up. You'd never know.
Well,
to
you
go
know,
to the Chamber of Commerce, right?
I have access to the state database of all the voters, and it's not the most accurate thing in the world, but I've been making calls. We have 3 precincts that we have no captain for, and I've been reaching out to known Democratic, consistent Democratic voters, and trying to get some precinct chairs. And I've got about a half a dozen, well, yeah, okay, maybe tell me more about it. And, well, let's get together at the Starbucks in Lago Vista and talk about it, and I'll explain it to you. And, I've got the PowerPoint and everything. And I'm also building a team underneath me of social media coordinators and block walk coordinators and block walkers. And my goal is to meet face to face, if I can do it, well, at least in my precinct, all 3,500 people in my precinct that are Democrats, all the Democrats in my precinct. There aren't 3,500 of them. There are probably 1,000 of them. But I'm going to go knock on some doors, and I'm going to let them know that I'm here and that we're working hard for them. And we're going to use social media too.
That's good. That's the more we can marry on the ground organizing with social media organizing, the better off we'll be, for sure.
That's what we're trying to do.
I think Kimberly was up next.
Yeah, I just took my hand
Oh,
down.
good. Okay, good.
I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Kimberly. During the day, and I'm not representing them now, but I work at For Future Pennsylvania in the Southeast region. I started, but way before I even started working for them, and right now in a personal capacity, I started in 2017. I started Indivisible in the Laurel Highlands, and that's pretty much been online because I work, so I really don't have time to do both and work. So that's pretty much just gone into social media. But I have a lot of experience with organizing, working with volunteers, and I'm always willing to help anybody that has any questions. Usually you have to wait until off hours like this. And I usually don't make it here on Mondays. I'm usually exhausted by now, but I had a sick day off today because I had a lot of working out for doctors I had to do this morning. So anyway, I wanted to say a couple things. Number one, we have to stay away from buzzwords, guys. Okay, almost anybody will listen to you until they hear a buzzword, which means like even moderate Republicans will often listen to what you have to say until they hear something that they've often heard on Fox News about Democrats or something like that. So kind of get in tune with some buzzwords and also stick to just the regular bread and butter issues. Yes, talk about inflation. Tell them inflation stinks. Talk to them about why inflation is going on. And talk to them about, especially other Democrats, what it was like 2 years ago. We need to remind folks about what kind of heck we were going through 2 years ago and what that will be like again in another 2 years if we don't come out and vote again. And that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks for doing the work that you do. Linda?
Hi. I wanted to tie back when you mentioned Roe v. Wade and something I wish we could do better across groups. And that's anticipate and be ready to roll the moment a news breaks that because often we're behind it. Even if you kind of know which way the Supreme Court may go, or that Elon was going to perhaps win his bid to get Twitter. And the messaging and the toolkits, are so wonderful. We really appreciate that from DemCast. So please keep up that good work. But also if we have some connections to people who try to change the system, how to leverage off of this. So for example, with Elon Musk, there is a need that we've been ignoring in Congress, and they haven't had the will to do it, related to regulation of the new modern social media and other services. It's time to put a little edges on the wild rodeo, not to stamp out free speech, but just to make it kind of a fair competitive field. We can't count on any one private business to do it. So perhaps we could do some linkage like that, the messaging that we want, but also tie it to an action item that might help.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, and the European Union just passed the strictest tech laws against Facebook, Twitter, and all of those. And it'll be interesting to see how they play out and what repercussions would reverberate to see if they have to have completely two different systems. So.
Thank you, Linda. It's a great suggestion. Peggy?
Yes, hi. So to piggyback onto that, what Linda was saying about action, the social media stuff is all good, but I find myself very frustrated if I'm not phone banking, if I'm not sending postcards, if I'm not sending letters, if I'm not working with Democratic candidates like, say, Beto O'Rourke and Marcus Flowers. I think their campaigns could really use, like if a lot of us decided, okay, we're going to help phone bank with Marcus Flowers so we can get Marjorie Taylor Greene out. We don't have to wait till the summer to motivate voters. I know when I work with Marcus Flowers' campaign, the way the maps are drawn now, the voters in Cobb County don't even know who he is. And they're very excited that someone's running against Marcus Flowers. And they're also surprised, like, oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene is my representative? So I think giving these two campaigns in particular, maybe going forward, some of the Democratic candidates in Pennsylvania and upstate New York, to get Elise Stefanik out. Like, there's a lot we can do now. Like, social media is great, but I feel like, and sometimes I overwhelm myself because I take too much on, but talking to voters, like in Georgia and Texas, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that. And I work with Field Team 6, and I just sent out a bunch of postcards for voter registration. There's a lot that can be done. Like, I don't want to feel like I have to wait till the summer for voters to be motivated. I talk to them, and they're motivated. A lot of them are motivated, and a lot of Democratic voters have been, we've been steamrolled since 2016. We have literally been steamrolled with atrocities. So we're tired. I know I'm tired. but I'm also pretty pissed off. And it's my pissed off energy that motivates me forward. Yeah, I'll make calls for Marcus Flowers. Why wouldn't I? Like, these are things we can do now.
Yep.
You know, we don't have to commit to do it 2 or 3 times a week. We can join once a week or once every 2 weeks, but
That's right.
that helps
So,
reach
yeah.
out.
Yep.
So after the primaries are done, we'll be sending a lot more information out like that. Our stance is we don't get involved in the primaries like the Marcus Flowers race. There are 3 Democrats running. And so we can't get involved and share out that information yet. Beto O'Rourke's primary is done. So, so we always hesitate to get involved before the primaries. We're not from Georgia. So.
And that's just from the like DemCast
Yeah.
Central perspective. Like we have many DemCasters, people who are connected to the organization, who are out there doing all kinds of advocacy for candidates all over the country. And by all means, go and do that. Like flex those muscles. And then as soon as we know who the winner is in every single race across the country, it's full speed ahead. Right?
Yeah, because Democratic infighting, I'm gonna tell you from my perspective, after the primaries, if I hear any Democrats talking about any Democrats, you're gonna hear it from me.
Yeah.
Because it's solidarity
Absolutely.
time. I'm not gonna hear one bad thing about one Democrat on social media in anything. You want to call someone on the phone and discuss something, that's all right. But in public, Kim is all solidarity down the D. We are not even going to go there. And I'm down that way every way, you know.
It's a really important point you're making, Kimberly. The information scape is not a town square. In the political sense, it's a battlefield, and we have to treat it like a battlefield.
And this is what I tell people, that Biden's numbers being as low as they are from Democratic infighting. Progressives complaining he's not progressive enough. Moderates complaining he's reaching too far to the green side. All this little infighting. We have had 2 progressive Democrats that had to lean away from climate change because the oil companies are reaching so far away and the people are hurting. That's not the president's fault. Okay, so I mean, this infighting about things like that, I don't want to hear all that. Yes, we're still doing the primaries. I give everybody their room to take care of their business locally and do their running. But after the primaries, Kim don't got room for it. And I'm gonna shut up because I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, you're it's music to our ears. The circular firing squad on the left is a big part of the problem, especially in social media spaces. So that's exactly right. I want to get to Karen, and then we did want to talk about a couple more things before we get off the call. So Karen,
okay, I'll make it short. I just want to talk to something I found that got more recognition on Twitter than anything I've ever put out there. And in trying to analyze it, it's not so much the message, but it was a comment to someone that had a big following that is liberal, in this case, Ken Olin, who's the showrunner for This Is Us. And he put up a thing of Trump's word salad on what Easter is. That made no sense. And I just replied, it's not Democratic messaging per se, not my usual message, and quote from Matthew 24:24 about beware false prophets. It went by 21,000 people. I got 21,000, whatever you call that, imprints or whatever. I only got it on Twitter because of you guys. I'm not totally familiar with it. I got like 211 likes and I got 23 retweets, and I have such a small following. That was just a shock to me. And there was only one negative guy comment. It was all positive. So
Karen, I'm really glad you brought that up, and good job. I don't remember what call. I was on a call. I think maybe it was when I was on Brooklyn Dad's podcast last week. Replying to big accounts is a great way to both amplify an important post that's coming from that account, but also it's a great strategy to growing your account if you have a smaller account. Because if I have 100 followers and Ken Olin says something that I like and I quote tweet him, when I post it, only the 100 people who follow me are really going to see that. But if I reply to his tweet, anybody who follows Ken is going to be looking into those replies, and he's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and so a lot more people are going to see your content. So that's a really, really great example of a way to both amplify good posts, but also help to grow your following. And I'm sure you got a few followers off of that too. So
Yeah, and one person even posted a meme about when fascism from Sinclair Lewis, when fascism clumps, it'll be wrapped in a flag and holding a cross. And then she got tons and retweets from that. So it,
nice.
In another way, the same message it got out.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So Jamie, we wanted to talk a little bit about what's coming up with January 6th, and we're actually going to be forming a social team around this. So we wanted to share that info, and then I'll talk a little bit about the economy stuff that's coming up.
So we're expecting the hearings to start the first week of June. They are going to last 2 to 4 weeks with 12 to 18 public hearings. These are mainly going to be prime time. And the plan right now is to leave unanswered questions at the end of each hearing so that people will tune in to the next one. And so we are working with a lot of organizations to make sure that across the spectrum we're on message. So we're working with Public Citizen, Move On, Indivisible, Stand Up America, Crew. So this is a really great group that's working together. And we will see, towards the end of it, there's going to be a lot of actions. So there'll be watch parties. And of course, we're going to be prepared for, in case at the end of it, for any reason, we need to march. But we are going to start our social media teams now. This is a really simple sign up form because, we're hearing already a lot coming out. There's a trove of text messages released again today to go after the Mike Lee ones from last week. But what we're hearing from the January 6th committee is you ain't seen nothing yet, and to hold on to your hats. That there will be massive revelations at these hearings. So they've actually hired a comms person that will work directly with organizations like DemCast and Move On so that the messaging is across the board. So I try to make that quick, but everybody get your popcorn ready because it's going to be show.
And Heidi asked, can we share this link? Yes, you can share the link. You can share it in rooms or groups, but don't post it publicly.
Yeah.
We want to try, for the most part, just get people who are sort of pre-vetted. So known quantity.
And more experienced on Twitter already. This is going to be such a rapidly changing thing, and it's going to be short. This is a project that after the hearings are done, post wrap up, that we're going to close these rooms. As far as when exactly they will start, we don't know the exact date yet because the committee is in discussion with networks to make sure that these are all aired in prime time. So do we expect Fox to air them? Probably not.
Did you say that they're going to have their messaging all aligned and lined up and right on the money?
Well, we're going to try.
Democrats can't do that, right?
Well, so Public Citizen has hired, I'm going to butcher his last name, Zach Pinaris.
It's okay.
Anyway, he's, everybody always messes up his last name. Zach Picanis. What, sorry, anyway, he has been leading up this communication. And so I haven't seen national groups work together in this coordinated fashion since before impeachment. I mean, impeachment's about the only other time I've seen this many big groups get on the same page and working together. So we're already holding weekly meetings. And then there is going to be the first kind of like movement call for the public, and that will be on May 12th. We should have a lot more information by then. So I will drop the link for that. You know, and we're expecting guests like having Jamie Raskin, Benny Thomas, Adam Schiff joining these calls that will be going on throughout the hearings. So
it should be a show, and it'll be up to us to make sure that every single point, every single video has its shot at virality, and we can take a big part in that. So, and Jamie is going to be our point person on that one.
I give them an A for effort, if nothing else.
A for effort, yeah. Well, you know, ultimately the power is with the DOJ, but not the political power. The political power is in the hands of all of us and the January 6th committee. So we have to do what we can with that.
Whether criminal charges are going to be referred at the end, we have no idea. In the end, it doesn't really matter. All they can do is do a referral. It's up to the DOJ, but they can weave that narrative and let the public know what really happened. And that's where the real power comes in. So
yep.
in Raskin's word, the committee is going to blow the roof off the house. So
I hope so. I
Can't
hate
wait.
to get my hopes up.
I know.
Really do, you know? I mean, from the Mueller report to everything else that's gone on, it's like we've been waiting for this for like 6 years.
well, you know, Mueller report, different time, different president, different DOJ.
Yeah.
I
know.
So
Different Congress. Yep. I would.
Congress.
I do think though, Kimberly, I think this is one where like everybody who cares about this, you know, this is a great one to really jump in on 100% and see what we can do. But it is also very, very wise to keep expectations light and just understand that ultimately we're trying to shape a narrative that's going to largely impact the midterms, and we aren't really talking about sending people to jail. And the more we talk about frustrations with the fact that people aren't in jail yet, the more people we're going to just frustrate and turn off. So
the big thing that is going to come out of this is legislation. There will be recommendations for legislation at the end of this to prevent this from happening again. We heard tonight that there is a deal in the Senate on the Electoral Count Act. So that is actually pretty big. This has been a bipartisan group of senators working on this.
Have that in writing yet? I can't wait to see that.
It'll be tomorrow. I can see if I can find what we think is going to be in it.
I guess we'll find out tomorrow. We've got 2 minutes left. I wanted to preview something else.
I have one quick question.
Yeah, sure.
One quick question. Who was it that said it's going to blow the roof off?
Jamie Raskin.
Okay, I trust Jamie Raskin. Now, if it's going to blow the roof off, and we got to pay to put a whole new roof on it, don't you think it's worthy of a criminal charge?
Again, that's not going to be up to the committee. It's only going to be up to the DOJ. What the committee can do really that will affect future is that legislation that's in place.
Yeah.
That will be the key thing from this.
And even that, right? I mean, that's got to make it through the Senate. So just set expectations at, we need to focus on political messaging around the January 6th.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
because that's what we can impact, is the political
you're right.
fallout of
You're right.
January 6th.
Yeah, and
right.
and tearing down Democrats for not doing criminal charges will not help us in the midterms.
They can't do. They can't
do anything, and so
Even
going
Joe
after
Biden
them,
really isn't supposed to.
You
That's
know.
correct.
So,
That's correct.
so we can all have a Merrick Garland bonfire in a couple of years if it turns out that nothing really happens. But for now, we got to just focus on the political messaging.
Yeah,
I just wanted, but I just wanted to really quickly preview to folks. So remember to click on that sign up form that Jamie dropped in the chat for that group, for that January 6th work. And then also coming down the road, so the economy is going to be really, 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 really important as we go into the midterms. So we're actually going to, in addition to what we're calling Mobilize for Midterms, which is going to be our midterm advocacy program focused on really important races. In addition to that, we're also going to be starting a team that's really focused on the economy in the midterms and how to message the economy. There's this confluence of stuff that's going on with extremely high levels of dissatisfaction in terms of the American oligarchy and billionaire class and workers and the unionization stuff that's happening. That's growing for the first time in decades. And so there's some momentum on that side, and we need to capitalize on that. So we're gonna be building a messaging team around that. So stay tuned. We don't have a sign up form for it yet, but we're gonna be focusing on that. If you have particular interests in that area, and you have interest in potentially helping on more of the kind of behind the scenes side of curating and curating content around the economy as it pertains to the midterms, helping us build our messaging toolkits, like that kind of behind the scenes work. Just shoot me don't shoot me a direct message on Twitter. Shoot me an email. I'm just Nick at DemCastUSA.com. We'll type it in here. Or just flag me however you can flag me. And you can always message the DemCast USA account if you can't find me, and somebody who's behind that account will get you to me. But looking for some people who want to help kind of drive that project. So okie dokie, it's 6:02 Pacific, 9:02 Eastern. Really appreciate everybody. I love these kind of calls where we just get to talk and strategize and preview and all that kind of stuff. I think we were planning on, for our next, stop me if I'm wrong, Lori, Jamie, for our next democracy briefing 2 weeks from tonight, sort of unveiling our Mobilize for Midterms strategy and program. So I believe I just committed us to getting that all finalized.
and then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be followed. Heather Booth is joining us. Activist civil rights. So if you have not heard Heather Booth speak, you don't want to miss this in 4 weeks.
Cool. Yeah.
Because you will be fired up.
Love it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy Monday.